Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Kill Your Darlings #1. This is a new book from KLC Press at ImageComics. This book is written by Ethan Parker and Griffin Sheridan, with art by Bob Quinn and letters by John J. Hill. In this book, 8-year-old Rose loves nothing more than to play pretend in a magical land of her own creation. To her, that world is as real as her own, from her fluffy friends to the terrible evil that lurks at the center of it all. In one night, the line between fantasy and reality will disappear, an ancient hunger will feed again, and Rose will be pulled into a gruesome saga that began centuries before her birth. Yeah, this book is very intense. We had the pleasure of having the creators talk to us a little while ago. You can find that video in the description or in the channel. We also re-released it along with the trailer for this book. But man, let me tell you, Kill Your Darlings is such a wild ride. Let's start with the story. I think the story, to me, it just feels like something that is not only a work of passion because of the conversation I had with the creators, but just something that is there to intrigue you and create a mystery while building out this world that it seems familiar in some ways, but of course it has its own different touches. I think when you combine that with Bob Quinn's art, you get something that is a really nice mixture of fantasy, maybe a little bit of horror, but yeah, the story just kind of unravels in that way. So let me pull up some preview art so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So here we are. We have these opening panels. I think Bob Quinn is really suited to play in this world between fantasy and kind of horror, and the mystery that we're building. I love how colorful and bright this world of the imagination is, and we're introduced to Rose. And I'm glad that these pages are back to back here, so you can see obviously this is Rose's imagination with all with her army and everything that's going on. But then we go back to the real world and we see that these are just stuffed animals, right? These are just little stuffed animals, and Rose is doing all this. She's creating her own little map. She's creating her own little world. This all lives in her imagination, but to her, it's real, right? It's real. It's important, and to highlight that, I think we see some of this narration in red. I think John's letters really make that stand out. It was a really nice creative choice by the team here. So we are very quickly introduced to everything that's going on. We explore this world of fantasy in the first few pages, and I think that's very efficient. That's a really fun way to tell the story. I really like the juxtaposition between the world of fantasy, the real world, and then also the point of view from Rose. Right, you see the little map, and that looks like an 8-year-old drew all this stuff. Right, I think that for somebody who's as talented as Bob Quinn, that's to make something look like an 8-year-old. It's probably quite an exercise. So, and then I wanted to contrast with some of these other pages. You've probably seen some of these in the preview, but I wanted to talk about these because, as you can see here, the tone of the story continues to shift in a more darker manner. Rose is even using different colors of the crayons, which is really interesting, right? As things get, a little bit more unhinged, when she goes in, I love this panel when she goes into her imagination and she sees that there's something wrong, something's amiss, and I told the creators during the stream like that this panel of Rose reaching out into that room, into the unknown, is one of my favorites. Like as she's exploring the house, juxtaposed with what she's seeing inside of the fantasy world. She almost looks like she's in a trance. This is really good stuff. There's a fun prologue for this book, but I don't want to get too much into that. I don't want to spoil anything, but it really adds another layer that you're not even ready for in this. So I'm very excited for multiple reasons, right? I think the people over at KLC Press are doing some fantastic work with books like Vanish and The Schlub, and now we have the third book here, Kill Your Darlings. So that's one thing. Also, just we begin to see a lot of the behind the scenes of how this book is done, and talking to the creators, I understand not only their passion for the work, but also how much work and effort has been put into a project like this. So that's also very fun. And once again, Bob Quinn's art. Just I really enjoy it. It's really fun to see it shifting around. We also have some cool variant covers by Ryan Stegman. You'll see one of them at the end of the video. So yeah, I'm very excited for public reception of this. I've seen a lot of opinions from early reviews and stuff like that. I didn't want to put out my review until the week of, because I feel like that's when more people are finally remembering, like, oh yeah, my pull list has to be ready, or like, you're gonna get gearing up for the week. So but yeah, this is very cool stuff. Really, really cool. Like, this is just one of my favorite books that I've started reading in a long time. So definitely gonna keep this one up. We'll have more reviews for these as we go along. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this book. Let me know which variant you pick up. And if you are around, the creators are all over the US, so they'll be doing some signings, going to New York Comic Con, all that cool stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for the future of this book. I'm excited for the future of this team, because they, like I said, we had a really fun conversation about this. So and let me know what you thought about this book, and if you're excited for this. So as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Hunt for the Skinwalker #1 from Boom Studios. Let's take a look at the creative team here. This is written by Zach Thompson with art by Valeria Borso and colors by Jason Wardy. So this seems to be part of a larger Hunt for the Skinwalker series. So let's take a look at the description here and we'll talk more about what's going on. So based on the unexplainable, unbelievable, undeniable, true paranormal story, unidentified flying objects, animal mutilation, terrifying otherworldly cryptids, countless strange phenomena, for more than 50 years, a remote ranch in the Uinta Basin has been the most significant nexus for the paranormal. Inspired by one family's confrontation with the unexplainable and terrifying, and what happened when they invited the largest scientific investigation for the paranormal to the ranch, based on the 2005 groundbreaking, electrifying nonfiction book by Dr. Colm Keller and veteran investigative journalist George Knapp, that revealed the captivating story, the true history of Gorman Ranch, for the first time, seizing the mainstream imagination and inspiring high-profile investigation documentaries and genre fiction of various media. So I gotta say, I was not aware of this. I have seen, I think there's like a Discovery Channel show called like Skinwalker Ranch or something like that. I imagine it was something very similar, with the cryptids and then, the lore of skinwalkers and stuff like that. So I didn't know what to expect into this book. I think the tone to me feels a little bit lighter than I would have expected. Also, the art feels a little bit more lighthearted and more, um, it's a more stylized approach that doesn't fully permeate with that tone of like the strange and the unidentified. And you'll see some of that as I go into the previews. I think you'll see some of that. But I feel like this book is setting up something way bigger for the next couple of issues. So I don't know. I feel like this was part of a larger story that kind of had to be chopped down. Now, this just me. So this just may be me having a few issues with the pacing of the book and connecting with that. But I'm intrigued nonetheless. I do like to explore the supernatural, if you will, the unexplained. Although cryptids and stuff like this has never been my bag, so maybe that was another reason why the book didn't fully connect with me. But let's take a look at some preview art. We'll talk about more about what I was explaining earlier. So as you can see here, this is to me uh, the way you would definitely open up a story like this, right? You can't just jump into the deep end with supernatural. So we're at the ranch, we're exploring, we're learning about the family, we're meeting them, and a little unexpected things begin to happen, which is, I think, is displayed very efficiently. I really enjoyed that part of the story. But as we move forward, I feel like we are just kind of sticking around for these few things and not having a lot of resolution. Like as you can see here on some of these pages, like, she was putting away the groceries and then the groceries are back in the bag somehow. And then this drill, this whole pole maker, whatever it's called, Like it disappears from here, like we don't know what happened to it. So like there's little unexplained events that I really enjoyed at the beginning, but then we keep seeing just little weird things, and I feel like we never fully built up to like something big. And by the time that we did, I was kind of like we were very close to the end of the book, and I just was like, I had not connected with the story yet. So I feel like this may be something to me that reads better in a trade form. So I'll probably revisit this then. And like I said, cryptids like this are not like right up my alley. This is not the usual. This is not the usual lore that I seek when I go for the supernatural. Um, because to me it feels like very like kind of like gotcha, or kind of like I don't know, seems very exploitative at some points too. So, um, but we'll see. And like I said, this just may be me like having that ranch, Skinwalker ranch, and think like show in my head that I'm not really a big fan of like exploitative supernatural shows like that, or like these exploration shows that. So we'll see. But yeah, if you have read this and you enjoyed it, let me know what you think about it. Feel free to leave us a comment. I think the book is very well done. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I just believe the subject matter to me is where we didn't fully connect. But it could be just like different tastes for different people. So as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Birds of Prey #1. This is a new book from DC Comics. So let's talk about the creative team before we get into this. This is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Leonardo Romero, colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Clayton Cowell. So all-star team already. A little while back, DC announced the roster for this series in a series of tweets, and people were very excited. I love the reactions. As you can see, we'll go over the characters, but man, what a fun team we have here set up. So let's talk about the synopsis for this book. Breaking hearts and faces, the Birds of Prey are back. Every mission matters, every life is a miracle, but this time it's personal. Dinah Lance is one of the DCU's most elite fighters, and combined with her sonic scream, she's a fearsome foe in any scenario. But sometimes even Black Canary needs help. Faced with a personal mission brought to her by a mysterious new ally, and up against near impossible odds, she reforms the Birds of Prey with an unrivaled group of badasses. Cassandra Cain, Big Barda, Zealot, and Harley Quinn, the one and only. A goal, the extraction without bloodshed. What could possibly go wrong? So yeah, this is a whole new, brand new team, brand new synopsis, just really, really exciting stuff. So first of all, I love a get the band together type of story, which is that's what this issue is, right? We see Dinah just going around looking for these members of Birds of Prey, explaining what the mission is, and I really like the approach to how she approaches each person. How she, like, you can kind of see some persons were a lot closer, some people is about a mutual respect, and some people is just kind of out of necessity. So like really interesting to see all that combined with Leonardo Romero's fantastic art. Like it feels like comics to me. It has a classic feel to it, but it's a very contemporary look as well. It's a very happy medium. I'm really, really excited about Romero working on this, because as you can see from these pages, not only does he do very well like with the fight sequences, but also the conversations. I love Cassandra Cain's design with the pointy ears going out, very reminiscent of the original Batman cowl. That's really fun. And then just little things like the panel here at the bottom of the third page where they're both jumping down. You can see the light, kind of like the way the page is lit. It's very fun. So yeah, a lot of the credit on that goes to Jordi Belair as well. She's all-star when it comes to coloring. And let me just show you one more page. And if you're not excited about that, the pages were a little bit out of order because I wanted to put the splash page on its own. But just check out the sequence of Cassandra and Black Canary kicking ass all over the place, and that's just a taste of what you have to come. We have, I think, the way Kelly Thompson captures Barda's voice is really fun. And then introducing Celet, who I'm not very familiar with. I don't read a lot of Stormwatch, which I believe that's where she comes from. And of course, Harley Quinn, very combustible element. But even all that, like we, when you find out what the mission is all throughout the book, I think that's what really gets me very excited. So this one, we're getting the band back together. We're getting the band together, not back together, just together. And then in the next few, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the future with this. There's some really fun variants as well. So yeah, very excited for this one. Let me know which variants you pick up. Let me know what you think of this book. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Batman 137 from DC Comics. This is a new book continuing the Batman Catwoman war over Gotham. So let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this. This is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Jorge Jimenez, colors by Tommy Moret, letters by Clint Cowles. In this issue, Batman descends on Gotham City full of rage and force, more driven than ever to save his home. But the new landscape has turned friends into foes. Can anyone stop his reign of terror? Should they? The Gotham War continues in this second chapter. This was a terrific book. I really like the premise. So for those that haven't caught up on this, and you should read the Batman Catwoman one-shot from last week to really get the full context. But in order to tone down the crime of especially violent crimes in Gotham, Catwoman has taken all the henchmen and is training them to do some thievery, mainly from the rich folks that commit non-violent crimes, which leads to these criminals not being out there on the streets doing more violent stuff, murders and stuff like that. So obviously, she lets Batman and the Bat Fam know about this. Batman's not okay with it. He very firmly plants his foot down. Also, Batman is recovering from the Night Horse stuff, from failsafe, from coming back from a different dimension. Surin, our Batman, is definitely still lurking in his mind. So, yeah, it is. It's got all the elements to make sure that Batman is probably not thinking clearly and really just kind of putting his foot down without really knowing what everything's going to happen. So it's a really fun premise, and the book just continues to do the same thing. But now we see Batman in action. And what is Catwoman going to do? How is she going to react? How are these criminals going to react to a new threat that, they had agreed to do this because they thought it was a better path, and they were under the protection of Catwoman. But if this isn't going to work, and if Batman's still going to be out there beating up criminals, also, how does the rest of the Bat family deal with this? Like, they're all for less crime. So yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing some fractures along the family, and then, as I mentioned, we got more surprises when you get to the last page of the issue. The page of the issue, my goodness! But let's look at some preview art because Jorge Jimenez is in top form. Like, just overall, whether it's a more quiet page like the first one where we set up the thievery, or the battle that comes after when Batman finally gets there. There's some really fun action sequences. I really like his designs for the characters, reaction and like the faces, and then just character designs overall. There is one character here that he kind of redesigns that, boy, really blew me away. You won't see it in the preview pages. It is a little bit further in the issue, but my goodness, very, very unexpected. So yeah, this book just really has everything. I don't normally read crossovers between series like this, but this is a Batman story, so I'm gonna definitely go all in. So yeah, this one was a ton of fun. both on the story side, on the art, like everything just really works. This is probably one of the best runs that I've read in Batman in a long time. So and there's been some quality stuff. So very excited to see what happens next. I'm also a little biased because Tim Drake is the main Robin here, hanging out with Batman at the moment. Like Damian's off, kind of doing his own thing, and then he's really the main one that still has the title of Robin. So yeah, of course. I think you'll be very surprised by which members of the Bat family kind of agree or disagree with Batman. And you may not be surprised by some of the ones that disagree or agree, either way. So very fun. Of course, really cool variant covers, including a Bane cover for Hispanic Heritage Month, which is amazing. So let me know which one you pick up. Let me know what you think of this issue. Let me know how you feel about that last page reveal, and let me know what you think's happening with the Batman Surinar, all that stuff. Please put it in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Fire and Ice. Welcome to Smallville #1. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Joanna Stair, with art by Natasha Bustos, Tamara Bonvillain, and letters by Ariana Mayer. So we have Fire and Ice, Fire Beatriz da Costa, and Ice Tora Olaf Sputter. Going to Smallville. They're moving to Smallville. So let's take a look. Let's read the synopsis a little bit so you understand what's going on. Things could not possibly be worse for Fire and Ice, in Beatriz da Costa's professional opinion. Superman sent the former Justice Leaguers packing for Smallville following an extremely public and utterly disastrous mission that was all Guy Garner's fault. It's always Guy Garner's fault. And in doing so, doomed them to a fate worse than death, irrelevance. Ice finds herself drawn to the quiet life and dreams of planting roots, but Fire will just do about anything to get the heck out of Dodge and back on the hero circuit, including challenging some of the DCU's biggest villains to a knockdown, drag-out live stream brawl in the streets of Smallville. A raucous, timely, unflinching comedy about a decades-long friendship on the brink of disaster and what it means to be a superhero at a crossroads in your life. That is Fire and Ice. Welcome to Smallville. And look, the book has a really fun premise. And I really wanted to enjoy this more. I don't know why the book didn't fully connect with me. I think first, these are characters that I don't normally read. At least these versions of the characters. I know they were recently in Tom King's Human Target. But the book itself is fun. It looks beautiful. I think Natasha Bustos does a fantastic job on this. I just felt a little bit lost, like I was kind of dropped in the middle of nowhere. And that's also kind of like how the characters feel, right? They got dropped in the middle of this. They don't know what's going on. And I think there's some really fun ideas presented in this first issue. I think I'm going to revisit this in a collected form, because I think there's something here. There's something really fun. But let's talk about some of the art here. Just from the beginning, we get kicked off right off the bat. Fire and Ice. I really like their relationship too, and I think they have really cool designs here. And just including the robot, I think the robot's pretty fun as well. And just them having to set up in like an old beauty parlor, it's really funny. And then the inclusion. One thing I did really enjoy was, Martha Kent coming over to visit, kind of bringing them a little housewarming gift. The series very efficiently catches you up on everything, and I think one of the things that got me is that because we are getting caught up on everything, there is a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of references to other books that I have read maybe a while back or something like that. So it's hard for me to connect immediately, and I think that's why I said this will work better for me in a collected form, because I'll get a full story all at once, as opposed to kind of having to catch up every issue. But I think it's there. I think there's some fun here. There's some really there is definitely a more comedic tone, but there's still some really fun superhero stuff here as well. So I don't know. I think this one's gonna be something that I go back and revisit, and then really enjoy. But this first time around, it didn't fully connect with me because I didn't really know what to expect out of this book, and I think that's kind of what caught me off guard. And as I've said before, like I think I might have mentioned this on some of our live streams, like sometimes when there's too much dialogue, I get a little bit lost in the page. So um, let me know what you think of this issue if you have picked it up. Or how do you feel about Fire and Ice and reading their stories? I was very excited about this book, and I really liked their appearance on the action and the pages of Action Comics. That was really fun. So I was looking forward to the series. So definitely will give it another chance. But I think all the structures there. This is a well-made comic book. I think it was just me not connecting with the issue. But of course, there's some beautiful variant covers that I'll definitely be picking some up. And if you have read this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for BlueBeetle #1. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. So this issue, The Scare War Part 1, is written by Josh Trujillo with art by Adrian Gutierrez, Will Quintana on colors, Lucas Gattoni on letters. Some really cool variants, which we'll see some at the end of the video. So let's get into it. In this issue, Jaime Reyes' graduation is over, but his new life in Palmera City, and as the Blue Beetle has only just begun, with 2 new beetles to train, Dynasties and Nitida. Jaime has his hands full navigating being a leader. Thankfully, he has Paco and Brenda at his side as they settle in the Palmera City State University. But what lurks in the shadows of the Blue Beetle's new home, and what does it mean for the legacy of Blue Beetle? There's a lot here. First of all, I will say I recommend you check out Graduation Day, that series. I don't think you fully need it to understand everything that's going on, but it's going to provide some context that I think will be really helpful. But the book does a great job. I think Trujillo very efficiently puts you in the driver's seat very quickly with just one page. It lets you know here's everything you need to know on a high level. But I think if you want to get some more of the references and stuff, you definitely want to check out the previous series. But the book is great. I love Trujillo's dialogue. It really, like, the voice of Jaime really sounds like Jaime. The voice of the beetle Khadija really also sounds, especially after having watched the movie, like now I have a little voice in my head when I read that character. So yeah, that part's really fun. I love Jaime's relationship with his friends, and I also love the approach of how Jaime handles problems on an everyday basis. Not everything is about like punching and using the armor and the beetle to get out of trouble. Sometimes Jaime is the one that has to step in, which is, I think that's really fun. That's a new aspect of Blue Beetle that probably hasn't been explored as much as it should be. So yeah, to me feels very fun, very authentic. There are 2 versions. You can read this. You can buy this in English and in Spanish, which is great. But even in the English version, there's little, sometimes the characters speak Spanish because that's what that's what real people do. Sometimes they throw in a few Spanish words or a phrase or something into normal everyday conversation. And you don't even need to translate it. There's no context. Like, you should get it from context of what they're talking about. So I really appreciate the team allowing the readers to capture that via just their experience. If you're out in the street and you hear some teenagers talking and they say a phrase that's in a different language, sometimes you get what they're talking about just from the context of what they're doing. So now let's talk about the art. The art is fantastic. First of all, Gutierrez and Quintana just do a great job on this recap page, capturing the feel of like this old school classic comic books, a little homage to the great Justice League International cover, the classic. Like, these are all pulled from other comics, and it's just very fun to revisit these images. We get the little narration from the Blue Beetle, so you get to, there's a difference too in the lettering. So kudos to Gattoni when it comes to whether it's Blue Beetle Ted Cord talking, or Blue Beetle Jaime, or Blue Beetle Khadija or Kajida. Like, there's a difference all the time, so you never you're never confused about who's talking, which is great. I think that's really fun, especially for new readers, which hopefully this series is bringing in after maybe some people that experienced the movie. The character designs for, like, I had never heard of the Madman, and they just threw me for a loop. This is just such a cool shot, just such a fun layout of the characters just kind of dropping in unexpectedly. I love that uh, you know Ted believes in Jaime so much. Like, he knows that Jaime is ready to go out on his own and be a leader, and that's a big point here, especially now that he's got two new Beetles to train, right? Or at least to lead now. So really fun. I do look forward to seeing more about both of the new characters, Nitida and Dynastis. But for now, I think this is a really fun setup. Of course, there's a lot more to this. The last few pages of this issue are gonna kill you if you're a big Blue Beetle fan. But it's fun. It's interesting. It's entertaining, and it's just everything I want in a Blue Beetle comic, and probably more. Maybe even some things I didn't even know I wanted. So yeah, of course we have some incredible variant covers, including one for Hispanic Heritage Month. Some of these books are doing that. Of course, this one is just Jaime because Jaime is Hispanic, so they don't need to find a character like in the Batman series. They had to go get Bane, right? But in this one, they could just do Jaime. So really cool stuff. So if you have read this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to go read Blue Beetle Graduation Day, that series. 6 issues, 1 trade. You can get it all done real quick, and then go read this. Pick up both things on Wednesday when you pick up your comics. So yeah, stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Swan Songs number 3. This is a new book from ImageComics, continuing on the anthology that W. Maxwell Prince is doing with the Swan Songs, about different stories about things that end. But let's talk about the creative team on this issue. So, of course, this is written by W. Maxwell Prince, with art by Felipe Andrade and letters by Goodall Neon. We have multiple covers, variant covers that you'll see at the end of the video as well. So let's talk about it. In this issue, the atomic clock hit 0, and the world was forever changed. Here are demolished. Planet would-be Adam and Eve tried to create a new Eden in the nuclear aftermath, but some things simply weren't meant to be. Drawn in exquisite colored pencils, this is another one of our lives loud, lonesome Swan Songs. Wow. Yeah, I mean, what an incredible concept, right? In the first issue, we saw maybe that same atomic clock, maybe a different one, but it was coming to, like, it was the end of the world. Then we also saw the end of a relationship. And in this issue, we don't get a mixture of both of those things, but I think it's really interesting to just have a world where we only follow these two characters. And definitely what really sold me the most on this one is the art, because I don't know the last time I read a comic that was just color pencils. It's really fun. Like, it just looks so different. You can see from the cover that we saw already, but I have some more preview art. Don't you fret about that. Yeah, it's really good stuff. So let's take a look. I mean, and I love here the monochromatic tone of the pages as we kind of enter this world. We try to figure out what's going on. You know, they come out of the little shelter. They were, he comes out of the shelter. They kind of run into each other. So, like, can you imagine just this end of the world? I really like that the narration is very efficient. It doesn't clutter the page. It doesn't prevent me from looking at the art. I think the creative team just did a really good job planning that stuff out. Sometimes some of these bubbles don't let you see where the art is, and the art is super cool. Like sometimes I almost wish you could remove bubbles, dialogue bubbles or text bubbles. Some, and then as we move forward in the issue, there are different colors incorporated, but yeah, overall, this is just it is definitely an exquisite look. Like this is a great descriptor. Sometimes the descriptions from the marketing team they overhype or oversell the art, but not in this case. I think they really nailed it. Felipe Andrade has a very unique style. If you've read The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, that's a book I also recommend. But yeah, I mean, this one just another home run for this series. Swan Songs has been one of those books that I just really look forward to reading every time every month. And as long as W. Maxwell Prince has stories about endings, we'll keep reading. I think this book, no pun intended, would end issue 6. But I mean, what's to prevent something like this from coming back? I love the idea of the rotating artist and the theme around all that stuff. So yeah, this is just 10 out of 10 every time I've read one. So if you have read some of these, let me know what you thought about them down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Masters of the Universe, Forge of Destiny #1. This is a new book from DarkHorseComics. This is in the universe of the Netflix animated Masters of the Universe from Kevin Smith. So just want to make sure that you're aware of that, of what you're getting into. This is not a standalone story. So, and you can probably tell from just the typography and the logos and all that stuff. So let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. Script by Tim Seeley with art by Eddie Nunez, colors by Brett Simpson, and letters by N World Design. Yeah, I mean, I am a big fan of that He-Man show. So the fact that we get more comics, this is, I believe, the second or third series that follows in that same universe. So it's really great to have more stuff happening in the Revelation universe. So let me give you a quick synopsis. A He-Man Year 1 prequel to the hit Netflix series Masters of the Universe Revelation. On the world of Eternia, a fragile balance exists between science and magic, a balance kept by the universe's mightiest hero, He-Man. On a peaceful mission to the island notion of Anwat Gar, the royal Eternian caravan comes under attack by the minions of the evil Skeletor, and on the island itself, the nefarious Evelyn sets in motion a plan that could lead to an all-out war. And of course, that's the premise of every He-Man or story, kind of, right? He-Man's very similar to Aliens, where it's the same. It's the same kind of story, but it's really how we get there that makes all the difference. So I really appreciate the character designs as well. They're very reminiscent of the animation style of the show, but they're not exact replicas, right? I think it's got its own little flavor, which is really cool to see. I really like going back in time to see a prior story to where we ended up in the show, because the show, I feel, it's definitely more advanced. It has a larger scope, but this feels like just a more not grounded, just a smaller story in that world. And then very quickly we get introduced to the characters, to what's going on. For anybody that may not be following up on He-Man, or maybe you haven't seen the animated series in a while, so you need a little bit of a refresher. That's all provided here very well by Tim Seeley and the team here. So let's take a look at some preview art here. I mean, as I mentioned, character designs, bright colors, big popping, like even the narration, it's in a different color box than your normal box. So all those little details, they come together to give you a really good story. I like how huge He-Man is. Like, he reminds me of the action figures from the 80s. Like, just look at the giant arm that we see in the last panel. It is insane, but I love to see it. I think that is the way you portray He-Man, because he is a greater than life hero with greater than life powers. And of course, we get to see all the characters that you want to see, his allies, and then we even see his parents, which I like seeing Prince Adam in his Adam form. As cool as He-Man is, I think there's a lot, specifically in this world of of Revelation. Prince Adam is a very important part of that story, not just He-Man. So yeah, really, really good stuff. I really enjoyed this one. I think all the comics that Dark Horse has been putting out that are related to the series have been a lot of fun in building that world. And here we get to meet some new characters. I won't go too much into detail. I don't want to give you any spoilers, but just know that you'll see familiar faces, but you'll also see new faces that you may not have seen in the cartoon. And it almost makes you wonder when they do stuff like this, like, are these people going to show up eventually in the cartoon? Like, so that'd be really cool. Imagine having your created character move on to the screen. That's really cool. So yeah, highly recommend this one for any He-Man fan. If you want something like while we wait for season 2 or whatever happens next, make sure to check this out. So as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so when we go live, that is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Dave here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Tear Us Apart #1. This is a new book from Dark Horse Comics. This was on my radar because it is a #1 from Dark Horse, so I usually check out their stuff. So let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this. This is written by Jay Baruchel and Van Jensen, illustrated by Alessandro Miceli, with letters by Taylor Esposito. We'll talk about all the stuff, but let me tell you, there's some really incredible art in here in this book, which I'm very excited to talk about. So let's get into the synopsis. Deep in the Canadian wilderness, a vicious cult dedicated to an ideology of pain trains children to become deadly assassins. In the midst of the world of cruelty, two teenagers break the cardinal rule by falling in love. The only thing standing between them and happily ever after is an army of murderers with a taste for blood. Just that premise sounds pretty rad. Although I hadn't read the premise when I got into the book, so it was really. So I will say the book definitely communicates all this stuff in a very efficient way. You're kind of drawn into this world very quickly, with a beautiful art, quick pacing, like things escalate very quickly as soon as we get there, to just show you that the stakes are very high. And this first issue really makes its way to that point where you really get the whole story. You get to know a little bit about the characters. You get to know a little bit about this world, and what's going on. There are some rules. There are different characters that feel a spirit of competition even amongst this cult, which is really interesting. Like the psychology of the people that are involved in this, I think it's really interesting. So now let's take a look at some of the preview art, because the art is what kind of hooked me to make sure that I want to keep reading this. These are the first 3 pages, and like I said, very quickly, like up until this point, like in these few panels, right? This is probably less than 15 panels where it gets us everything we need to know. We realize that it's going to be, just from the tone and the coloring, a very dark book. And then we see the expressions. We get to see the chanting. I think the lettering, Esposito does a really good job when it comes to the kids responding as a group, to really highlight that with the big letters outside of the bubbles. The co-leader that's introduced, and then just like we get to this point, and then you turn the page, and boom, like gigantic, like who knows what's going on there. Like I think we're gonna go more into this, and we're gonna explore these abilities and this willingness to just explode a child, and then everybody's ambivalence towards what's happening. So yeah, look at that. I love the use of color as well. I think Miss Ellie is doing a really bang up job, of just highlighting that the use of the the colors, the different colors as the body kind of explodes, and then the blood, like just in contrast with everything that's been set up, because everything is in this blue wash, right? So yeah, it's just a really, really interesting premise, really interesting book. And like I said, the pacing moves very quickly to get to that goal of like, okay, there are two kids that don't want to be part of this anymore. How are they going to deal with it? And that's where the conflict begins. Well, more of the conflict even begins, right? So very excited to see where this goes. It was a very quick read as well, which I really appreciated. In a week full of comics, especially for number one, you want to get in, get out, hook your reader, and this did all those things very efficiently. So highly, highly recommend you check this out if you're interested in that kind of story. So as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. We are very close to 2,000 subscribers, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so we get there. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.